welcome back to the Bettors on Monday morning edition, first day of February. We are getting into a fresh month, fresh week. We have a 10-game NBA slate, some pretty interesting games. I haven't made a bet so far yet, but looking at a couple of games that look like good bet candidates. So, all right, I'm putting up the odds screen. We will go right through them. I will be keeping it shorter on the games where I don't think I'll have a bet, as we have so many games and a couple of interesting ones. First game on the board, Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a rematch of last night's game. Cleveland Cavaliers closed as 3-point favorites on the road, but now we flip venue, and this is in Cleveland, and the game is off the board as obviously these guys played last night, but the soft books have -5 up, which should be a decent line, as Cleveland was -3 on the road. So basically you flip the home court, you add 2 points to the home team right now. I mean, take away one, add one, and we are arrived to -5. I think the spread is right if we accept that last night's closing line of -3 was okay. The game was pretty interesting. I'm not. I'm not discounting Cleveland after that game. I like the adjustments that the Timberwolves made. As I was saying before the game, both teams are attacking the rim at a really high rate. But obviously, the Wolves didn't have Karl Anthony Towns, and Naz Reid was also out, so they were pretty thin on the front court. And they went into a 3-point shooting mode. They put up a really high percentage of shots from downtown, and they hit 41%. So yeah, I think they're only like 30% of the shots came close to the rim. So they basically became a shooting team instead of trying to attack Cleveland defense that is really strong around the rim, and the shots were falling, so they made 41% of their 3-pointers, and yeah, they won outright. On the flip side, I mean, Cleveland Cavaliers did put up 16 overall 3-point attempts, and they made 4. You cannot win an NBA game this year, or I mean in modern basketball, just by making 4 3-pointers. So yeah, I think this is kind of an anomaly, but I like the adjustment from the Timberwolves, especially as the Cavs are one of the worst 3-pointer defenses in the league. So yeah, I mean, we will see tonight if the Cavs make some adjustments. I accepted the closing line of -3 as efficient, and if we do that, I think the -5 here, now that the game is in Cleveland and not Minnesota, is fair. The Wolves are just 1-7 on the road. I would still lean towards Cleveland. Cleveland is 6-4 at home. They have the better defense, better rebounding, a slightly better offense, especially now with the guards back. But I think if unless this moves towards Minnesota and we see again like a 3.5 or 4 based upon last night's results, which I don't think are something that should move the line, yeah, we will stay away. But I would lean towards Cleveland. My line is closer to 6, so. But I'm adjusting after last night a bit, as the closing line told me that my line was a bit off. So I had to downgrade Cleveland, upgrade Mini just a tiny bit. I can live with the 5, but if this gets to like 4, I will hop on the Cavs. Nice game. Atlanta Hawks hosting the LA Lakers. This is one where I like a side. This is the last game of a 7-game road trip for the Lakers. They have been playing pretty bad through the streak. So through the last 6 games of this road trip, they have played a couple of decent games, but overall they are scoring 5 less points per 100 possessions than they did before through the season, and the defense is also giving up 1 more point through this stretch. So through the last 2 weeks, they just graded the 24th best offense in the league. Defensively, they are still pretty decent, but I mean, they have a plus 3-point differential, and they are -5 on average against the closing spreads. So yeah, they have been underperforming, and if you look into the games, they have allowed 24% offensive rebounding rate or higher in 5 straight games. That's average offensive rebounding or verse or better allowed. And they have allowed they on the offensive end they had a 54% effective field goal percentage, which is league average or worse in 5 straight games. So in 5 straight games they allowed average or higher rebounding against them, and they were performing average or worse offensively. And this is the last game of the road trip. AD is questionable. LeBron is also questionable. James usually plays through these, but we've seen Davis sitting through this road trip. I wouldn't be surprised if he sat here, to be honest. And yeah, as I said, Hawks on extra rest at home through the last 2 weeks. They have been ranked pretty high, 12th best offense, 6th best defense. They have a +5 point differential, +5 against the closing spreads on average. I mean, and overall, they face the more difficult schedule than the Lakers. Obviously, we know the Hawks have great rebounding. They have decent free throw rate, and they are the second best defense against 3-pointers, which is super important when you are facing the Lakers, especially as the Lakers are kind of slumping right now when it comes to shooting. So yeah, overall, I'm liking the home team here. The current line is 6-ish, but Pinnacle obviously pulled the game when the injury news came out that AD might sit here. So yeah, I'm closer to 5 here. We know Hunter won't be playing for the Hawks. I'm factoring that in. I think if you can grab a 5.5 or 6 with the Hawks, that's a hugely plus CV bet. Even if the Lakers both play, I would make this spread less than 6. But if AD is out, I mean, he's moving the line obviously by multiple points towards the Hawks, and yeah, we have possibly a great bet on our hands. All right, next game, Miami Heat hosting the Charlotte Hornets. Game is off the board. Miami obviously always having tons of injury issues. We see -5s on the home team on soft books. I think this line is fair. I'm making this 5.5 right now. Jimmy Butler came back, obviously most important part for the Heat. He has been off for most of the season. He played 34 minutes and scored 30 in his first game back. I thought he will play like 20-25 and he might be a bit rusty, but yeah, he was dealing. So yeah, the injuries to Miami. They still don't have Harkless. Leonard is out. Dragic is questionable. He missed 3 straight games. Bradley questionable, and Hero is questionable. But his flatmate contracted COVID, so he's likely out because of the league's rules when it comes to COVID. So yeah, still many injuries. Still not a team I really want to lay 5 or more points with, to be honest. But I can arrive to this line. Hornets, very meh team. I rank them around 20th in the league, both sides of the ball. They aren't a team I really want to back under normal circumstances. With the Heat having Butler and Bam obviously back, I mean those are the 2 most important players. They have a couple of guards who can help them a bit out. I don't think this is a game to bet, to be honest. I don't even know what line I would need to back the Heat here. But the Hornets aren't great, but I will need still the Heat to get those guys back, get a little healthier. They just won by 1 against the Kings as 5-point favorites. I mean, yeah, I'm still not sold. I think they will make a run. They will be a playoff team. I think they can be decent in the playoffs, but they are still not healthy. I'm not laying the points. Next game, New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Sacramento Kings. This is an interesting one. Pelicans are 3.5-point favorites. This opened up 4.5. We are down to 3.5. Pinnacle doesn't have a line yet, as the Pelicans have Steven Adams as questionable. Him out would be a slight hit to them, as this team is really known for strong rebounding. And I mean, Adams is averaging like 10 rebounds, the strongest rebounder on the team, but they do have some chemistry issues with Zion, so I'm not sure him out is a huge hit. I'm making this 4-ish, 4.5. So with Adams questionable, I think the 3.5, 4 is fair. A couple of things. Kings, through the last 2 weeks, they are ranking as middle of the pack, but the defense has been way better than before. They are ranked 30th in the league through the whole season when we see the defensive efficiency. And through the last 2 weeks, they are 17th. Still not great, but they are allowing 7 less points per 100 possessions, which is huge. And the offense is borderline top 10. So, I mean, I think they can manage. They are certainly a better team now than they were before. Borderline top 10 offense, pretty decent efficiency. Offensive rebounding isn't bad. And the defense is starting to get better. So the Pelicans through the last 2 weeks have been struggling. 27th ranked defense, allowing 5 more points per 100 possessions than they did before the season. Minus 7 point differential, stuff like that. I mean, one thing I don't really want to do here is to downgrade the Pelicans too much, as they faced Utah twice. They played the Bucks, they played Houston just these last 10 days or so. So yeah, they have played a super tough schedule, but they aren't looking good. And on the other side, the Kings are playing the best basketball so far this season. So recent performance absolutely favors the Kings. I would probably look at the Kings here or nothing, but I would need like 4.5, maybe 5 points. Rockets beat the Pelicans easily, even when they were out rebounded, and that has been basically the biggest weapon for the Pelicans. They are top 5 in both offensive and defensive rebounding, and they usually beat teams by out rebounding them, but it didn't work, and it has happened a couple of times recently that either the rebounding wasn't as strong or it just wasn't enough that they out rebounded the opponents heavily. So yeah, I like the Kings. The Kings would be my lean. At 5, I would certainly bet them, maybe even at 4.5. But yeah, these are two pretty similar teams, I think, and I'm not sure the Pels should be laying multiple points towards a very similar team that has a better offense and maybe a better offense and a better defense right now. So basically, besides the rebounding, Pels don't have anything, and Adams might be out, who is a huge hit to rebounding. So yeah, certainly a side I'm looking at is the Kings. Chicago Bulls hosting the New York Knicks. Another game where it's a back-to-back. Knicks played last night against the Clippers. It was pretty close up until the fourth or so. Obviously, Knicks lost outright. Randall played 36 minutes, others played around 30. It was a decent game overall from the Knicks, and at 4, which is the current line, I would probably lean towards them if everyone is playing. I'm making this Chicago minus half when both are equally rested. So yeah, I can live with the 3, but the 4 not really. Bulls, I'm not sold with the recent performances. Through the season, they rank 16th offensively, but only 23rd through the last 2 weeks. Offense has been regressing, and the defense is kind of similar, but they have a minus 5 point differential. The Knicks through the last 2 weeks have a minus half point differential on average, plus 7 against the closing spread. They are one of the better defenses, and offensively they have been scoring more points lately. They are around Chicago's level offensively. So basically, we have 2 equal-ish offenses at the moment, and one defense is just way better than the other. Bulls are on a 5-game homestand. They played Lakers, Celtics, Blazers, lost all 3 games. So I mean, from a motivational standpoint and the fact that they are on a long homestand and they haven't won any games, and the Portland game, obviously losing that in the last second, was a huge blow. So yeah, this sets up well for the Bulls, but I think 4 points is a bit too much. I like to back Chicago as big dogs. They are really great at covering big spreads, keeping the games close. But I mean, I won't lay 4 points against a way better defense. I mean, the Knicks are fourth in the league defensively in points per possession allowed, and they allow the lowest effective field goal percentage, while the Bulls allowed the 29th effective field goal percentage and the 27th points per possession defensively. So yeah, offense is close, defensive edge to Knicks. Obviously, rest favors the home team. But yeah, I think at 4 you have to look at the Knicks. Obviously, wait for the injury report. If someone sits like Randall or Robinson, I mean, yeah, this line is totally warranted. So I'm not jumping in early. You have to be way more careful this season. We have been burned a few times with these. All right, next game, OKC Thunder hosting the Houston Rockets. Rockets are laying 5 on the road. It's a pretty steep line, but I mean, I think it's warranted. Since the Rockets have everyone back together, they have won 5 straight games. They beat like Detroit, Dallas, Wizards, Portland, the Pelicans. Couple of weak teams there and couple of teams struggling with injuries. So I'm not like upgrading them hugely, but they are still, I mean, they are ranked as the best defense in the league through the last 2 weeks, plus 7-point differential, plus 8 against closing spreads on average. I mean, yeah, the defense is just elite across the board, no matter what stat you check through the last 2 weeks, since they have everyone together. It's looking great. On the other side, OKC, third worst defense in the league, bottom 10 offense. You know what you get with them. They play kind of tough, but not that much. But the spread is kind of close to the spot where I would stop. So if this gets like 6 or something, I think you should probably look at OKC or nothing. I will go with nothing here. My line is Houston minus 4.5. So yeah, I'm never paying an extra, but yeah, I think the Rockets will be a legit team. They will probably get into the playoffs if they are able to keep this core together. Obviously, trade deadline is still ahead of us, so we will see what happens. But yeah, line value on the home squad, I'm not touching this game. I think the Rockets will win quite easily. Next game, Milwaukee Bucks, huge home favorites against the Portland Trailblazers. I was talking about the Blazers overvalued in the market since McCollum and Nurkic has been out. They are, I mean, the market adjustment just weren't enough. We have been fading them every game, but finally, I think the market did catch up. The line, what I see right now on softbooks, Milwaukee minus 10. I think that's a fair line. This should be around Milwaukee minus 7 if Nurkic and McCollum were playing. Giannis is probably here. Milwaukee is playing their third game in 4 nights. So yeah, I have adjusted this because of tons of things, but I can arrive to a 10. But still, if I had to look at some side here, I would look at the Portland Blazers. I was talking about Milwaukee's defense multiple times these last few weeks. If you have been following me, they are graded as the 25th best defense in the league right now, and through the last 2 weeks they have a plus 0.3 positive point differential. This team has been averaging like a plus 8-9 point differential through the last basically 2 years. So yeah, the defense isn't working, and it's not that they are getting beat up by good teams, but they have allowed 126 points against the Hornets, 131 against the Pelicans. Through the season, if you check the whole season, they are in the bottom half of the league when it comes to defense. So yeah, at this moment, this isn't the top team right now, and I think this defense this bad shouldn't lay 10 points against Lillard. Basically, no one else is left in Portland, but he is still pretty dangerous. We've seen him like win a game single-handedly. The Blazers defense ranks the worst in the league. Through the last 2 weeks, they're allowing over 122 points per 100 possessions. Not a team you are running to back, but the offense is still decent. Lillard can always win games, and I think 10 points is, while I'm agreeing with the line from a numbers perspective, I think personally I would look at the road dog or nothing here. Next game, San Antonio Spurs hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. Spurs laying 3 points at home. This is a rematch. The first game was played 2 days ago. Spurs closed as 3.5 point favorites. Now we see a 3. I mean, Yeah, the Grizzlies won the first game by 17 points. So it was a pretty easy W for them. But if we look into what happened there, I don't think you should like upgrade or downgrade either team after that game. So that was the first game for the Grizzlies back from their prolonged COVID break. They have been out for like 10 plus days. Most teams coming back from these layoffs have been playing terribly. They did play amazingly. I was fading them. It was my bad. But they did put up 129 points per 100 possessions. The second best game of them this year was 118 points. So they put up 11 more points per 100 possessions than ever before this season. They had a 65% effective field goal percentage. Their best game before this was 57%. So, I mean, this Spurs defense is a top 10 defense, and they've put up unrealistically great stats against them. I don't think this will be repeatable, to be honest. So yeah, if I would have to take a side here, I would go with the Spurs. We get the same line back. Maybe we will even get a discount with the San Antonio team. But the Grizzlies have been outperforming all their offensive stats by a huge margin in the last game. And this is a decent defense, I think, and they can make adjustments. We've seen the Spurs make adjustments between games, not in games, because they aren't a great team when it comes to in-game adjustments. But between games, they can make adjustments. And the Memphis offense ranks 24th in the league through the whole season. So this isn't a team that will put up 129 points per 100 possessions and a 65% effective field goal percentage on you every night. Memphis is still without Valanciunas and Grayson Allen, obviously two rotation players. You have to downgrade them somewhat. I think the 3 is fair. We don't have the angle of Memphis returning from the long break now. But I mean, the Spurs are healthier, more established at home. And I think the Memphis W was a bit fluky. So I would look at the home team or nothing here. Next game, Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns, another rematch. The first game was played 2 days ago. Dallas closed as -1 point favorites. Couple of things. Dallas closed -1 while not having Porzingis, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think he's such a huge part of that weak front court that I wouldn't make them favorites without Porzingis, but they closed as favorites. They lost the game. I looked at the game. Phoenix won by 6, but the key was that they made 27 free throws and Dallas made 8. So basically, no matter how well you play, if you score 20 less points from the charity stripe, you won't win the game. But I mean, overall, both teams played okay. Big thing here that Booker is upgraded to questionable. He was announced out, obviously, in that game. He's a huge part of the squad. He went through the shoot around on Saturday. I kind of expect him to play here. So while he's officially questionable, I think the line that we see now is expecting him also to play, as Porzingis will play for the Mavs. So basically both stars in who were out in the last game. So yeah, I think the line is fair. A couple of notes on both teams and why I'm not touching the game. So Dallas, this is the first time Dallas doesn't have a player on the injury list on the through the whole year. So they were ravaged by injuries. 4 starters were out with COVID. Their best backups were out with COVID. Obviously, injury for Porzingis came back, didn't look good. Have been sitting some back-to-backs. So yeah, they aren't in a rhythm here. We don't know what to expect. And the Mavs have faced the #1 most difficult schedule in the whole league. They did look terrible through the last 2 weeks. They grade as the second worst defense in the league and below average offensively. They have a -10 point average differential, -9 against the closing spread. So, I mean, if you just look at the stats, they are 28th in offensive rebounding. You can fade the Mavs as long as you want. I mean, the stats are just terrible, but they did really face the best teams in the league. They played the Jazz twice, the Nuggets, they played the new Rockets, the Spurs. Pacers, Raptors, Bucks. I mean, they had like a horrible schedule to go through with all these significant injuries. So yeah, I'm kind of laying off from fading or backing the Mavs for a few games. Let's see how they perform with everyone back, and then we can kind of rate them, but I don't think we can rate them right now. Phoenix, on the other hand, they have been the 28th best offense, since returning from their COVID break. So they are one of the worst offenses in the league since returning from the COVID break. Shots aren't falling. Now they didn't have Booker for a while. Obviously, Saric is still out and Payne is still out. Two of the better bench players on the team, in my opinion. So yeah, Booker back is nice. I always want to fade bad rebounding teams, so I would really want to go against the Mavs here. But I just cannot. I mean, I think the Mavs will get better. They will need time to get better. But on the other hand, first game back for Booker, they are still down a couple of key rotation guys. And my line is close to a pick'em either way. So I was close to the pick'em in the first game. The game was relatively close. I'm close again now, but I have huge questions about both teams, and I think sitting this one out is very smart. Final game of the day: Denver Nuggets hosting the Detroit Pistons. This will be quick. Nuggets laying 9.5 at home. It's a back-to-back for them, but a home back-to-back. Key players played around 35 minutes last night. The Nuggets did make some great improvements. Offense is also slowly getting better with Michael Porter Jr. performing, but the defense has been the big thing. They are now ranked as 14th defensively, while they have been ranked 21st before. The defense has been stepping it up way better. Obviously, they are a top rebounding team, top 10 on both sides of the ball. Denver offense, 5th in points per possession, 6th in effective field goal percentage. Detroit's defense, 22nd in points per possession, 28th in effective field goal percentage. We did talk about the Pistons a lot. They are a good team to back as a dog against teams who are bad at rebounding and who give you many free throw attempts, as they are pretty good at drawing them. This is not that team. And with this just being a home back-to-back, with the improvements the Nuggets made on the defensive end, and looking at how good of an offense they are compared to what Detroit can put on the floor, I'm not touching the game. I'm close to 9 and 10. I think the spread is okay. You are not gonna find value here. Back the Pistons against worse teams than this against the spread, and they will cover for you. But I think the Nuggets might get a huge W here. This might turn into a blowout. We rarely get to see the Pistons get blown at, but this is a bad matchup, I think. All right, I'm summing it up. So, what sides I like today? I kind of like the Hawks. Obviously, the game is off the board. The spread was 6 before they pulled it. Even if Anthony Davis plays, who is real questionable here, I would make this 5.5. I think it's a fair line to back the Hawks at 6. Lakers have been super underperforming lately. 7-game road trip, final game of the Eastern road trip. Hawks on extra rest at home, getting really a lot of points. This is the second time I think they are home dogs. They covered the first game against Brooklyn. So yeah, I like the spot. Hunter out for the Hawks is a huge hit. He's the second most efficient offensive player on the team, but they have so much talent there in the middle of the lineup. I think they will make it work. I like the Sacramento Kings if the line goes back up to like 4.5 to 5. Pelicans have been performing really bad recently. I'm not trying to fade them overly, as they have faced the tough schedule, but Adams is questionable here, and they live and die if based on the rebounding, and if it doesn't work, everything falls apart. And the Kings have been improved on both sides of the ball, and the rebounding isn't that bad. I like the Knicks at 4 if everyone is playing. I think that should be 3 max. I like the Bulls, but this is a super tough matchup. One of the better defenses in the league, and we've seen the Knicks play decent on second legs of back-to-backs. I'm not saying that will always be the case, but I think this Bulls team is super beatable, or at least this will be a slow game where the spread will matter, and even if the Knicks lose, it will stay within 1 or 2 possessions. And yeah, nothing else really. I would probably take the Blazers if the spread goes above 10. I don't think the Bucks should be laying that based on how their defense has been looking recently. And the Spurs game is one to look for. If the spread moves towards the Grizzlies and we get like a 2.5, based upon the first game's results, which have been a bit fluky in my opinion, then the Spurs are a side to back here. That's it for today. I will be back tomorrow. We have only 5 games, but the Nets are hosting the Clippers. That will be one where I will be going into detail. And then the Celtics are playing the Warriors. So yeah, we have a couple of great games tomorrow. I will be back at the same time. Please, if I'm doing here, it's helping your betting, handicapping, like the video or the podcast and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And if you want to grab my plays, join the Discord channel. You can go to patreon.com/thebarrelzone. I'm posting analysis and picks really early every morning, write-ups on all games, all the good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, and I will be back tomorrow.